Yes, yes, yes. For some of you, it's been all of 5 seconds since you've seen me. But now I have a microphone on, so it's a little bit more official. All right, thank you very much for coming back so promptly after lunch. Was it good? Everybody satisfied? Yes? All right, who had the fajitas? I'm just kidding, we really didn't have fajitas. Okay, so how many of you, did you all get the book, End of Business as Usual? All right. As you read it, there's going to be a section that is going to that talks about our next speaker. Talks about what they did in order to launch an airline. It talks about what they did to make that airline relevant, especially today when airlines are struggling to survive. It started with the customer. And it went to the experience, and they designed the entire experience, the entire Virgin America experience around and for the customer. And so to tell you exactly how they did that is Brett Billick, who is the Director of CRM with Virgin America. Please welcome Bill. Go get him, man.
Hey guys, how you doing? So I have the task of following Jeff Jarvis and lunch, so I'm going to try to handle it. Who here has actually flown on Virgin America before? Right on. Okay. Who follows us on Twitter or Facebook? Okay. Not huge. It's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. Who actually opens their emails, their confirmation emails? Okay. All right. So we got the early insight. That's the early read from the group. So at Virgin America, what we did was we spent a lot of time trying to earn as much media as possible, and you guys have probably seen Richard Branson out there doing crazy things and on models' backs, windsurfing and jumping off buildings, and that's a big part of our model. But also, what we tried to understand is how do people really engage with us and why? So the engagement question, I think, really is what we're talking about in this conference, and that clearly, obviously, we're talking about the next phase of what engagement is, but also, are there some things that we need to prioritize and refocus on? And how do people describe what they want from us, what they want from brands, and what they want from Virgin America? So this is a journey we went through. We enlisted the help of Razorfish, and the good news is all of this is actually online. There's a public study. It's at liminal.razorfish.com, where you guys can go see it, so you don't have to take too many notes. Just relax. Just don't fall asleep after the lunch. So we talked about engagement, and we've kind of walked through these pieces of how's it evolved. Ice cream was actually, some will say, invented by the Persian Empire, but it's taken a lot of different twists and turns throughout the years as it moved across to our friends at Baskin-Robbins. So the question is, how do you get to the point where you know which flavors to offer and right at the right time for the right person? So this is what we ended up doing. We did a bottom-up, customer-centric approach to simply ask the question. I think that's one of the biggest things that I would relay to you guys that helped us a lot, is just simply ask the question. Of course, sometimes customers don't know what they want, but other times they really do, and we needed to take the time to go through the process. We tend to not take a deep breath a lot at Virgin. We move pretty fast, which is good and bad sometimes, but we decided let's slow it down and actually ask people how they want to deal with us. So for those of you who have not flown on us, here's a little taste.
Welcome to Virgin America. Let me show you to your seats. Virgin America's first Wi-Fi plane, flying at 35,000 feet.
Dude, how about you move up your seat? Give me a little leg room. This is the first broadcast in the history of the Republic to go live from a commercial aircraft.
That plane is like a hotel room inside. I actually don't love flying, but I will love flying on that thing.
And all he talks about is his airline.
That wake you up a little bit? So for us, clearly, technology is a big part of the story, and how people engage with us on our planes, how we provide connectivity. That's part of what the Virgin brand stands for as well, is that tech savvy, the innovation. So we had all this as a backdrop. We obviously thought, okay, let's just go crazy on different channels and different ways to engage with customers, but let's take a moment. And instead of taking a whiteboard and thinking that we're all smart and know what we're talking about, let's actually go out and do some research and ask people. So the lens is we ask Virgin America customers how they engage with brands. So actually this is about brands in general. It's just through the filter of our own customers. And our customers are very much, we're about 60% of our guests are based in California. Another 15 are based in New York, so very coastal, obviously depending on where we fly, being based in San Francisco. So we ask the question, we ask people to describe words and things that they are looking for and elements on how they engage. So they didn't just say, I want value out of how I engage with a brand. This is what came out of it. Those words may have come up, but ultimately what we did was we asked a cross-section of customers and we said, okay, what are the things you want? How do you want to be engaged with? What are the channels that you want to engage with? And why? And this is really a why question. And the ranking was very consistent across the board. You see value was number one, efficiency, trust, and on down the line. Interestingly enough, control was the last thing, something we've been talking about a lot here. So I'll give you a quick snippet of what value means. This is when a customer feels they can expect a company to go out of its way to do right for them and provide them with the right service experience that they're looking for. I don't think this is a big surprise, but what did surprise me and what did surprise us was it doesn't matter who you talk to, what age, what demographic, as you slice the data farther and farther, it doesn't matter. Value always came across as the number one piece. Efficiency is time and energy. So efficiency of the website, efficiency of communication channels, and how you work with people, and these are the descriptions. This one I thought was really interesting. Relevance. This quote is a lot of companies are wanting to reach you through the internet. Everybody has a Facebook page, blah, blah, blah. So when I asked that question earlier, there are a lot of people in the room that have flown on us, but a handful who follow us on Facebook, and I think that is a theme we definitely have seen. We have 2 million Elevate, almost 2 million Elevate members in our frequent flyer program, and we have 170,000 people who are on Facebook. But we know that 95% of those people are on Facebook, and we know 50% of those people are on Twitter. But they're not choosing to follow us directly in those channels. So it doesn't mean we don't invest in those channels, but what we tried to do is understand of those people who are, what's the information that we can take away from them, and for those who aren't, why are they not, and where else do they want to engage with us? So we took this engagement piece of it when we asked these questions and we really had people describe how they want to work with us, and we moved it on to the next layer, which was really taking the data behind their behavior on us, how they've flown on us, what is their lifetime value score, and then we essentially took another layer on top of that and took influence score. So, you know, kind of hot topics obviously right now is that influence piece of it. And this is our first step in. There's still an evolution that we have to do, but I think it was a really interesting exercise for us to essentially take the traditional RFM metrics, throw on the social metrics, and then match it back against how people describe their engagement. So we took these 4 pieces, and ultimately we got to the next phase, and we built out 4 different archetypes. So I'll walk through those. Now, this is the channel importance. This is really where I was incredibly surprised, to be honest with you. It's kind of hard to read from the audience, but as you move up from 6 being the highest, obviously 0 being the lowest in terms of importance of channel, you see individual email, which is really your transactional email, confirmation, 24-hour reminder type of stuff, company website, word of mouth, so that addresses trust, email newsletter. Then you go all the way down. And so this is, again, for our total population, and where we have certainly invested a lot of time and resources, and we still do on the end of this spectrum. It also kind of taught us some things about what our bread and butter is and where we also should be making sure that we're optimizing our time and not go too far down the line. So a bit controversial, but email is not dead. Now this is engagement elements by channel. It's a bit of an eyesore, but really this is how people, if their expectations are met or not. Green is meets expectations, red is obviously not meeting expectations, and this is how they describe all brands. This isn't really even just about Virgin America. It's our customer, but it's how they describe all brands through these different channels. So you can see where the weak links are, and the weak links are actually in Facebook. You see LinkedIn, postal mail, which still is a driver, obviously, for retailers, but for others, it also is not totally dead, I would say. But Twitter kind of right in the middle. So this tells me there's a lot of improvement that we certainly have to make as we interact with our customers. How do we do that? How do we engage with them the right way to meet the expectations? And how do we spend the resources on the right volume of customers in that area? Again, this is online, so you don't need to draw the whole thing. This is what we did with the consumer influencer score. So this is really interesting. We actually took, this is about a year ago too, by the way, so we probably would redo it, I think, if we did it now, but we took number of Twitter followers, updates, social networks, and unduplicated friends across all social networks to get to a consumer influencer score. Now, what I would caveat that with is we didn't exactly take it to an individual person and have that data now. We're not acting on that data on an individual basis. We do know what we know when people opt in with various promotions, but as a broad scope, we have aggregated it to learn the value scores of unique identifiers, but we're not actually taking it necessarily yet due to privacy concerns. So this is the new valuation, the new customer evaluation, and I think this has evolved, and there are a lot of vendors and potential partners out there that are doing these types of things and working on this, and this is ultimately what we came up with to get to the new value score for us and how we view it. And these are the archetypes that I talked about, which I think is, this is really interesting for us because what it tells us is this top right-hand corner, 22% socially savvy. So 22% of our customers, we believe are, they are definitely tied in. They are in social media quite frequently. They engage with us in these channels, and they are very high value. They're super high value. So we need to make sure that we're investing the right way to match what those customers need. There is a large traditionally engaged audience, and Forrester does the consumer technographics, which I think also describes this audience quite well, is they are not going to open emails. They're not going to follow you on social media, but they are very high value people. So what are the ways that you can interact with them? And certainly it's a struggle for us on how to interact with them, with the exception of during their travel journey and while they're on the plane. What are the right things for us to do when we know that on the communication side, they may not be totally engaged with everything that we're doing. Sorry, then the biggest group are the up-and-comers. Now, for Virgin America, our average age is about 38 years old. We're younger than most airlines in the U.S. And what we term creative class, so very marketing-focused, design, technology, creative, but it is on the younger side. So what we see is a lot of folks who are, I wouldn't say beginning their careers, but in the phase 2 of their careers versus the necessarily older business traveler that you see with a lot of other airlines and a lot of our competitors out there. There's a socially savvy guy. This is our job to achieve a long-term lock and create the right experiences for them. So I'm going to skip through these in the interest of time so we can kind of open it up a little bit. And then tell you essentially what we did with this information. We didn't just walk away. I think a lot of times we have the tendency to just walk away from it and say, that's great, see you later, and not really do anything with it. And I think that's a problem that I certainly have had with the research. But what we did was we actually said, okay, as we look at our different channels and look at how people engage, where should we really be investing our time and resources, and how do we optimize that? So we came up with 3 ways of viewing it. The tried and true optimization of current channels, and then finally the shiny objects, which is really the most fun. But these 3 things together led us to really take a look back at our business and how we really are operating. So this is an example of an email, Valentine's Day, as you might be able to guess. And what we essentially did was we have been iterating, and I think when you hear testing and learning through our email, what this looked like 2 years ago was dramatically different than what it looks like now. How it's performing is dramatically different. But I think essentially what we did was we said, okay, hold on a second. Email obviously is a huge channel for us. It's still growing rapidly. There are ways to make it more social, and a lot of things that are happening right now in the space, and we've been trying a lot of those things. Some work, some don't for us. And we have really used the channel to try to essentially get people to talk more about us and spread the word. And it's really one of the easiest ways. And again, it's not gone. What we always struggle with in the airline business is pricing is an incredible determiner for whether or not someone chooses you, and it is rapidly changing, and we have to produce these things very, very quickly as people come out with fare sales. So we're always struggling with getting the message as clean and simple as possible to match what our brand stands for and to match what people will actually open and engage with. So the socially savvy group, that 22%, one of the things we decided to do structurally after seeing this research was actually go out and allow people to earn our currency from Elevate, our frequent flyer program, allow people to earn our currency as they check in through Foursquare and Facebook Places. Now, this is with a partnership that we have with Top Guest, which works with some hotels and other travel providers in the space. And it's a really interesting concept. It's something that we wanted to roll out and try. I wasn't quite sure if this was going to be a fast fail or if it was actually going to work. But what happened was we really had people engaging with it. It's a small audience, but those people who engage with us and check in at our gates, at our airports, at the Virgin Atlantic clubhouses, those people are high influencers, and actually they're worth a lot more than our base, which was also a surprise. What we're giving is 25 points to check in. It's not a dramatic amount of points. Our rewards start very low. We have a different system. So our free flights start at 2,500 points versus 25,000 miles or even 12,000 for a one-way, which you can never get. But we just threw out this new product and new strategy for people to engage, and it really is not a dramatic amount of points, but what we've done is we've seen some really nice lift and pickup as people generate more awareness for us on our behalf as they share with their friends, and ultimately as they earn more points and just become more embedded with us in our program. We've also gone out and tried some new things. We've launched markets through promoted tweets. We did this with Twitter when we launched our Toronto market, which quite frankly was a great success in earning us a lot of press and a lot of buzz out there. We got a lot of attention, and we've kind of tried some of these new things and given them a shot. As you can see, obviously from the video, Wi-Fi has been a big piece of our product differentiation. So we've done a lot of promotions related to Wi-Fi with partnerships with Google and Facebook to allow people to connect while they're in the air. So again, this is more towards that socially savvy group, but it has really defined part of our marketing strategy and gotten us out there and gotten people to talk about us. And that's it. I Like I said, you go on the website, check out the survey and the research. There's a lot more detail there. It walks through a lot of those things and more of the journey and the process we went through with Razorfish. For us, it was really enlightening. Again, it was different than what we usually do, where we move fairly quickly, and this was a process. But it gave us a chance to take a step back and really think about and plan from that point on over the next 12 to 18 months where we want to spend our time and where we want to invest. And you know, asking customers is sometimes a really good idea. All right, thank you. No questions? Anyone have any questions? Or liminal.razorfish.com. Yep. I don't have a mic, sorry. There you go.
And what's been your reaction from the customers in reference to the new check-in system that you have, where they get 25 points as opposed to using their frequent flyer miles?
It's been really good. We've got a very high penetration of total check-ins, so we can track total check-ins. And then when you look at the number of people who are earning points with it, it's probably 75% of the check-ins they're actually earning points for. And really have seen people accumulate and starting to actually use them for free flights. So it's been a great reaction.
Thank you.
Back there.
Any ROI metrics? How do you measure the return on?
On the email side, we do traditional things with control. So we're testing how we've changed design, lists, those types of things. So that definitely is a little bit easier. I think with the investment on the social media side of things, it's a little bit harder with promoted tweets, and some of those things we actually look more at the media value than we do really with the direct sales coming out of it. And then with the check-ins and that type of thing, again, we try to map back to media value a little bit, and then of course what we'll say is if we're driving a 30% lift in lifetime value, some of those are early adopters already, so it didn't necessarily make them do more, but what it does is it helps retain them. So hopefully we're reducing our churn rate, and that's part of what we've seen as well. So depending on the channel, we try. In some cases, we can't. Yeah, so the question was explain the nature of the relationship with Razorfish. Did they come to us or did we go to them? We work with a company called Loyalty Lab, which is now owned by Tibco, which powers our Elevate reward system. So we have API technology with them, and basically they house our points bank and our customer profiles. I had been talking with them quite a bit on try to go through this process to figure out, and essentially through various contacts and relationships, we ended up talking to Razorfish, and Razorfish they jumped all over it because a part of it was really to build a case study for them, of course, and it's done really well for them and certainly helped them out in the arena that they want to. And for us, you know, it was a tremendous resource and tremendous asset for us. So we've been happy to be the case study. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, one more.
Hi. Sorry. As a disclosure, I actually work for Razorfish in the Consumer Insights Group. But I'm curious how you're going to stay on top of what your customers want. Because what I understand was this was a study, and as things keep moving, and your ecosystem changes and your community changes, how you're going to stay in touch, in tune with them.
That's a good question because it actually evolved as we were doing this. Because we had started, and then 2 months later, we were able to overlay the data, and things changed throughout that time period. So, it's a hard one. We are a very lean organization as a Virgin startup. We're obviously very lean as an airline, so we don't really have a tremendous budget to go out and commission research all the time, and we won't be able to. So we do a lot of this on our own now. It's more grassroots, using SurveyMonkey. And we actually use those guys, and we do things like that where we can still track, we still can pull the data, still understand how people are engaging with us, and now that we've launched some new channels and done some things, that's the way to reach back out to people. But really, it's kind of an internal process that we're going through, and it also needs executive buy-in. I think this research gave us more executive buy-in internally in the organization to continue to focus on it and to continue to look at it, because the way we've designed, and Brian mentioned earlier, the way we started the airline, the way we've designed the product is very, very guest-centric. It's what we're trying to be. The airline business was ranked lower than the IRS in customer satisfaction a few years ago. So it's a good business to be in for us right now. It's a tough environment, but the executive halo has always been, how are we engaging with our guests and how are we meeting their needs? And that's helped quite a bit. Yep.
Can you just talk a little bit about tablets and what you've seen with them as a device, platform for your messages?
Yeah, you know, what's funny is we don't quite we're not quite out there on all the form factors yet. So we've tried to optimize our communication to be able to be viewed the right way, with either mobile or on tablets. We've just started on the tablet side of things. We did pull Flash off of our website, off of our homepage module, maybe a year and a half ago, which caused a little bit of a scene when it happened. But the reason why we did it is because we wanted the experience to be a little bit better on other form factors. So we're not really there yet on where we want to be, and we're really focusing on it right now, because we definitely have a lot of overlap with Apple users in particular on our planes, and you see iPhones and iPads all over the place. So that's a big piece, and our guests are reacting to it. And we can see it in the analytics as well, what the percentage is of people who are on those form factors. So I wish I had a better answer.
So, and just another question in a different direction. It's kind of a lean organization with a limited marketing budget. Do you get much value from, but you also place a lot of advertising. Do you get much value from the publishers or your media partners in terms of giving you insights about their audiences and customers? Do you use it if you get it?
We do, yeah, we do, and I think we're lucky because we've been able to have some really good partners that are willing to work with us in unique ways, and we definitely find a lot of value in those relationships, and we're able to bring the credence of the brand, of the Virgin brand, to those relationships. So it's a symbiotic relationship, and it's been very helpful for us and very, very valuable, because we really, like you said, we're very lean. So earned media is very, very important to us, and word of mouth is very important to us. We know that about 40% of our guests have come to us through word of mouth, and we don't have the budget to have billboards in New York City. All right. Okay, thanks again.